So the next thing we want to look at is the idea of cloud services. So what are the different cloud service types that exist in the world? So it's not as difficult, or it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I'm going to be in the cloud, and then kind of that there's one cloud. There's different types of cloud services that we will provide. So there are some basic cloud services. The first one is called infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service is basically for pay-as-you-go IT infrastructure. So you rent servers, you rent virtual machines, you rent storage, you rent networks, and you rent operating systems from the cloud provider. So you go in and you build the servers as required, and you put the software that you need there. You add your own users. You do all of that sort of stuff, and you administer everything exactly the same as if you were working in a on-premise data center, right? So you have to build the servers out, and you do all of the work for it. There's nothing that Microsoft does other than give you the underlying templates or the underlying infrastructure for it to sit on, and then giving you templates for creating things like storage and servers and network access and so forth. But ultimately, you are working the same as if you were doing it yourself in a physical data center in a building that you own. This is the most basic computing service. This is obviously build as pay-as-you-go IT infrastructure. So you're doing these rentals, and it's instant computing infrastructure, provisioned and managed over the internet, and that's it, right? This obviously allows for building, testing and deploying software applications as a testing environment, and also to help create applications quickly without focusing on managing the underlying infrastructure. So if you have a development team that's writing a piece of software, you might put them up in the cloud to be able to do it in terms of the servers for building and testing against, rather than on a physical infrastructure, so you don't have to actually manage it internally. Platform as a service, or PaaS, is the next layer. So this is one layer up. Platform as a service is where you will have environments for doing this underlying infrastructure work. The infrastructure operating system and the development tools and database management instruments and all that sort of stuff is what you will be responsible for, and it helps to provide that infrastructure for testing and so forth. The other one that we will often get to is called software as a service, or SaaS, and you've probably seen this one quite a bit. SaaS solutions are where you rent an application from an organization. And so everything is hosted, the application is hosted, it's patched, it's managed by the application host. All you are responsible for is the users and the data inside of that application. So as an example, Dynamics 365 is a SaaS solution, right? So Microsoft manages the underlying infrastructure for, let's say, CRM or customer engagements. And so you are responsible for just making sure that you know who the users are going to be that access those resources, and then setting up the appropriate security for those users to be able to access that resource. As well, you will be responsible for maintaining the data that gets entered into that resource. And so all of these resources are shared, but Microsoft would manage the underlying infrastructure below what these resources do. So we could use Office 365, we might use Exchange, which is an email system, obviously, and we might use SharePoint as a method for file storage and document handling. So as a quick comparison of the three platforms, IaaS is the most flexible in terms of cloud services. And this is where you get to configure your hardware, you can manage your hardware, and you can manage your own applications. Also with IaaS, if you have decided that you want to move virtual machines that you have on your on-premise infrastructure into the cloud, and just basically, instead of creating new VMs in the cloud, just move, lift and shift the ones that you have in your on-premise environment to the Azure platform, you can do that as well. Azure supports all three of the major virtualization platforms. So it supports Hyper-V, it supports VMware, and it supports the Citrix Xen server format as well. So you can literally pick up those virtual machines and plunk them into the infrastructure, and then turn them on and have them continue working as if they were built manually by that system as well. That is a method that a lot of organizations use when they're doing using cloud as their secondary or hot data center, is that they'll make replications of their on-prem VMs and then put them in the cloud. And then if they need to, they can spin them up at the point where the physical one or the one on their local data center has no longer working. And so they can use that one instead. So the next thing is platform as a service. This is focused mostly on application development. So as a developer, you'd build a VM, Visual Studio, or some other development platform on there and use that as a way for you to build and test out your environments. And then lastly, SaaS or software as a service is pay-as-you-go software utilization. And again, you pay for the software as you use it based on whatever subscription model that you have. So if I want to, go in and understand what it is that I am responsible for doing versus what Microsoft is responsible for doing when we're running these infrastructure systems, this chart gives you that layout. So the green stuff is what I am, as the IT manager or the IT administrator, is responsible for doing in the cloud implementation. The blue tax boxes are what Microsoft is responsible for. So as you move from left to right, it becomes less and less work on your part and more work on their part. So as an example, in the on-premise systems, we are responsible for data and accessing that data. Ultimately, it's my job to make sure you can get to that information. It's my job to administer the applications and make sure that they're up and running. It's my responsibility to make sure that runtime is as high as possible. So, striving for the 5 nines capability that we keep talking about in the IT industry. I'm responsible for managing and patching the operating system. I'm also responsible for managing and updating the virtual machines. I am responsible for making sure that the computing systems are in place, that the networking is working, and the storage is available. So in an on-premise solution, it's me. I'm it. I am the company it. Right? The company IT, I'm responsible for it. When we move to infrastructure as a service, you'll notice now that the bottom 3 layers, the computing infrastructure, the networking infrastructure, and the storage infrastructure, are now the responsibility of Microsoft. They're not my responsibility anymore because I no longer have direct access to those resources because they are not physically located in my location. I am responsible for the data and accessing that data, the applications, any runtime executables, the virtual operating systems, and the virtual machines that they're running on. So I'm still responsible for making sure that those sorts of classical admin tasks are completed for people to be able to access resources. If I take one step over to that and go to platform as a service, now as a developer, I don't care about all the other crap. I just want to know, can I get to my application that I'm developing in my application development tool? And can I get to the data and access that data valid? Okay. And then lastly, as software as a service, everything is managed by Microsoft except data and accessing that data. Right. So ultimately, I don't have to worry about anything underneath it. It's all entirely up to them. So that's where that comes in. And so as you start ultimately paying for different resource utilization, you're also having to do less and less of the infrastructure, and Microsoft becomes more responsible for it.
Value of certification and how companies and individuals view this. And this is very true. Cloud is accelerating the skills gap. Every time, every day, companies, Microsoft adds new features in Azure, right? What we're going to see in the next few months may be different with all the advancements that Microsoft is adding. In fact, this is actually an old slide, but this is very true. And the more advancements are added, the more the gap is widening. So it's very important that we are paying attention and getting the right education for us, whether we're individual starting on a role in cloud, or you have employees that needs to do this. Also, what are the benefits? So for an employee, stand out, right? Get recognized. That this is one validation because we have a tangible number associated with it. And as they say, if you're certified, you earn more. And it also advances your career, whether you're currently uh, in the market for a new job, or you want to get better at your current job. Definitely certification would help. And for the companies, this is something that most C levels appreciate, that it can help them with talent identification. Nowadays, the way we're being, the hiring uh, is being done, it puts a great deal in the certification of the candidate. Also, for current teams that have certified members, they can see that the team produces 20% more. And to the business, it has this huge impact that if you have a huge percentage of certified candidates, then your team gives a better overall impact. Okay. Now, what makes Microsoft certifications valuable? First and foremost, in terms of market share, as we all know, Microsoft is that dominant technology in the market. There are others, but Microsoft has grown its base and it is a market share leader. Um, it is first and foremost, the certification is aligned to relevant job roles. So as you saw earlier, we have certifications for cloud administrators, for cloud developers. It demonstrates that you know how to apply your skills in the real world, and it is a verified achievement. So you can't just say that, hey, I took the training, but you can say that I really know this, I have the skills because I am certified. Now, aside from that, as I said earlier, it is aligned to market opportunity. What is the market looking for? So whatever Microsoft has, definitely they have the certification to match it. And these are very critical skills to make your digital transformation successful. And Microsoft continues to update this. And we can have a whole lot of discussion, discussing about how easy it would be to maintain your certification. And also, Microsoft puts a great deal that all the Microsoft certified professional renews their certification every year just by upskilling themselves. There are more information on Microsoft Learn, and we can definitely explain that to you as well. Just contact us back. And just looking into the kind of questions you're getting from the exam, these are skill-based questions. Gone are the days when you're going through multiple questions and you can guess it. Nope, can't do that anymore. Also, it requires experience, and you know how to apply those skills. And hands-on labs are also included in the exam. It's we don't want to scare you that it's difficult, but it really demonstrates that you have the skills if you pass the exam. You can also shout out to the world your recognition. You can add it in your LinkedIn profile, and this actually also solidifies your role in your current employment, or if you're looking for work, then this really helps you to land that job that you want. Okay. So just a few more stats here. 91% of certified IT pros says certification gives them the credibility. 93% of decision makers agree that this has a lot of added value, and 52% says that this expertise is more sought after within their organization. This is just an example since we discussed since we discussed an intro to AZ 900. These are the kinds of skills that are measured. And I'd like to just go quickly to our website. This is our website. You can just go to Microsoft to check out other resources that we have here, such as the role-based certification path. This gives you an idea on what are the different certification and training, and these are all links to the actual courses, so you can read the outline. Another thing is, if you are you're representing a company, there are several ways to purchase training. We have our NetCom Unlimited, which provides you with 12 months unlimited access to more than 500 virtual instructor led training. Or you have our Learning Passport. Or you can just go to our schedules. If you're one person and you want an open enrollment, you just can, look for the different schedules that we have available for you.